Alright, yo, what's up, YouTube? So I'm going to head out to a different park today. It's a little farther than the last one, and it's on a saltwater lake. Well, it's basically a bay, clear lake. And there's some kayak ramps there. I just want to check them out because I'm going to start doing the kayak fishing soon. It's about almost 7 miles one way. I got a full battery. Yep, full battery. Should be plenty. I think last time after I got home, after a few minutes, I think it said I had like 67% left. So that's pretty good. So my last vlog was called Seattle's Destruction, and I kind of got into like my background a little bit, a couple of jobs I've had, but I kind of wanted to dig a little deeper into the working with prisoners. So on and off I worked with like low-income family, refugee families, and then like in the prison system. So I worked in the prison in California. I worked with guys coming out of prison in a halfway house. I worked in the jail, the mental health floor in Seattle, and then I worked as a program manager for the Washington State Department of Corrections as developing programs for guys coming out of prison who were the most violent and the most likely to recidivate. So that's the kind of population I worked with. And then I suggest you go back and watch the other vlog because I'm just going to do like a quick recap. So basically I was talking about how about 80% of the guys in prison were involved in some way in like the foster care system or other like juvenile institutional systems. And they experienced extreme like childhood trauma, physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, all that kind of stuff. And that there's something about the combination of early childhood trauma and interactions with institutions that kind of creates this pipeline to prison, right? So I kind of wanted to dig a little deeper into that part, like why that is. And since I've got, you know, good amount of years experience working with that population, I have some idea. Let's see. So if you imagine, like, if you're a child in like a really abusive home, right? Like, and you know, you grew up watching sitcoms and stuff like that. And the community you live in is, you know, fairly stable, right? Your friends maybe aren't experiencing abuse at home. You kind of know there's something fucked up about your family, right? But you have a general impression that, you know, the world at large is not corrupt and not evil and not violent and so on, right? And so you suffer. You're gonna have problems, PTSD, maybe some personality disorders, attachment disorders, adjustment disorders, and so on. But doesn't necessarily mean you're doomed for prison, right? Yeah, I think, you know, what happens is when children get involved in institutional systems, like a lot of them experience trauma and abuse in those systems, right? So a lot of kids get molested and beat and stuff like that in foster homes. They're really treated pretty poorly, like in group homes and juvenile halls, like treated with like just like anger, disgust, dismissal. You know, they're treated like worthless pieces of shit. They're not treated very well. You know, they don't get a lot of care. So it's like the institutions that represent society that are stepping in supposedly to, you know, protect and help the child tend to be just as harmful, if not more, to the kid than his situation at home. Not always. And, you know, it's not an easy job working with, you know, troubled youth and troubled teens, you know, because, you know, hurt people, as they say. And troubled youth can be extremely abusive towards caretakers. They can be violent with each other. They could try to sexually abuse each other in these, like, facilities and stuff like that. On a side story, a long time ago, probably about 20 years ago, I was working in like a halfway house, basically, and I was in college at the time, so I worked. Oh, those are ducks again. I worked graveyard shift, and you know, I liked it because I didn't really have to do anything. I just did homework all day because I was in college at the time. So, I mean, all night. And but anyways, we had these two guys that were starting with us, and you know, I was just kind of showing them the ropes or whatever. And one of them, I mean, they're both really cool dudes. One of them was like this giant, yoked out, like Mexican dude. Like he talked about being able to bench like 400 pounds. But this guy was also like mentally gifted. Like one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life, right? And so like we had like me and this other guy, I think his name was Michael, and this guy that we're talking about, I can't remember his name, I wish I could. But he talked about how he read a book a week, and he said he's read thousands of books, and I thought he was kind of full of shit at first until we started talking. I mean, in that 8-hour period, we talked about, I don't know how much stuff. We talked about like philosophy, psychology. He could talk about quantum physics and biology. Anything you can think of, this guy knew something about it. He was super, super smart. You know, I remember that conversation to this day, even though I can't remember the guy's name. It's kind of sad. Oop, I was supposed to turn back there. So anyways, yeah, we had a great conversation all night. Just super smart guy. Really, I was really impressed by him. He didn't end up working again after that night. I think him and the manager, you know, bumped heads or something like that. He ended up going to work at a youth facility, like some kind of group home or something like that, or halfway house for kids. And I heard that he ended up getting like stabbed to death by one of these youths. And this guy was, I'm telling you, yoked. Like he benched like 400 pounds. So, I mean, I'm not saying it's a hard job. Once they get to the point where kids, you know, they're all screwed up. They have all these, you know, personality disorders. They got major anger problems and attachment disorders, all this kind of stuff. They're extremely difficult to work with. It takes a really special person to be able to work with these kids and not get jaded, right? So anyways, these kids are dealing with a lot of jaded people. Right? These people have taken a lot of abuse from kids over the years, and you know, their heart's just not in it. It's just a paycheck, and they tend to be, you know, not super highly educated type people. Some of them are, but they're just like sentimentally driven, right? And so anyways, yeah, I'm gonna wait till the light turns because I don't want to feel weird talking right here. There you go. Yeah, so anyways, whoa, SpaceX is right here? What in the hell? Oh, I didn't know SpaceX was over here. Trippy. Huh. Anyways, back to that guy that got stabbed by that kid. You know, when I heard that, I really like, I only knew him for one day, but yeah, we had a really good conversation, but that felt like I was affected by that. Because he's such a bright guy. You know, kind of a one in a million type. It's a big loss. He cared too. Anyways, yeah, so So when kids, a lot of times they're in communities that, are relatively stable, but they're experiencing this stuff at home. They still have a sense of like hope and possibility. They're not like quite cynical about the world at large, and they maintain, a pretty optimistic worldview, where the kids who go to institutions and experience horrible trauma and abuse in these institutions represent society as a whole. And what happens is it causes like a jolt to a person's worldview, kind of, where they lose all hope. They become cynical about the nature of humanity. They think that, fundamentally, maybe not even think consciously, but this is how they feel. Yeah, and once you reach the point where you kind of lose all hope for humanity and society, and your worldview becomes totally cynical, there's, I think, sorry, I'm not explaining this very well, but individuals, like sort of personality types in that situation has different ways of coping with that sort of reality, or that realization, that experience, right? And so you can almost create like a typology of criminal types by their response to this sort of combination of experiences. Some of them, just completely, they become totally depressed. They check out. They self-medicate with drugs and alcohol. They become addicts and homeless. And, they commit petty crimes, maybe even violent crimes, trying to support their addiction. They just want to keep as far away from reality as humanly possible, because reality is too painful. You have some other types who are more sort of emotionally resilient, and they still sort of, they lose hope about society in general, but they still are seeking out a sense of like identity and self-esteem and meaning and all this kind of stuff. And so they reject culture, the mainstream culture, and so they tend towards, meeting these emotional, existential kind of needs from countercultures, gangs and so on. And so you can have sort of very self-confident, very almost well-rounded personality types that have experienced these sort of things and end up in prison because they gain this sort of sense of well-roundedness or self-esteem and self-confidence from countercultures, right? And so this, you could put like gangs in this category, and drug dealers and this kind of thing, right? They're even like very intelligent, entrepreneurial. They have good social skills. They know how to be leaders and stuff like that. They belong to a different culture. And so then you have really the scariest type is it's the type who sort of, I call it, indulge in the darkness. People who become sadistic, where they become indulgent in like violence and these sort of things, or if it's like sexual abuse, they are the ones that go out and they become predators. And in the upcoming video, I'm going to talk about these types more, because you kind of got. So, anyways, another type would be like, you've got like the manipulator, the fraudster kind of character, super sketchy, people who like to defraud people, identity theft, these kind of people. Like those are the ones that sort of, I talked about earlier, how these workers at these institutions are, kind of sentimentally driven. They're human beings, right? A lot of them aren't like super educated. So they learn how to manipulate to get what they want, right? And so like people getting into the job of, you know, working with, you know, youth and people who have abused and stuff like that, they've got like this idea like Oliver, like more porridge please, you know, these sweet adorable kids that, you know, have been victimized and stuff like that. And so to just kind of survive and get what they need out of these institutions, a lot of these kids learn how to manipulate, you know, they learn how to understand, you know, how people are driven on a sentimental level, and they learn how to act and stuff like that, right? And so you have people who adapt in that way too. And of course, all across all these different types, there's, you know, major anger problems and all stuff, like I mentioned earlier. And so these I think these types, you know, how people react, it's very similar to like your standard personality types. It's just kind of like the shadow version of them. You know, so if you ever heard of like the Myers-Briggs personality test, there's like 16 different types of personalities, right? And I think that the different criminal types are sort of related to these types. Yeah, in my next vlog I'm going to get into, maybe I'll try to prepare a little more for what I'm going to say, so I'm more concise. But I want to get into like the origins of these like personality types. Maybe talk a little bit about Carl Jung and Joseph Campbell and what archetypes are, stuff like that. Is there like an evolutionary lineage that we can sort of trace to try to understand like personality types and societal roles and stuff like that at a little bit deeper level? So I'll get into that on the next vlog. I kind of touched on everything I want to touch on as far as like the criminal stuff. So this park should be coming up not too far. Oh, you can smell the salt water, it's nice. Houston is like a really cool like city. One, it's massive, like massive. It's probably the biggest city as far as like square miles in the country. It's huge. They have a saying here, it takes an hour to get from Houston to Houston, which is true. If you drive from one side of Houston to the other, it'd probably take you about an hour. And so, like when you're working with these guys, to get back to the criminals, since, you know, one of the major contributing factors to like them committing crimes and becoming violent is a cynical worldview, right? Personal, not just about humanity in general, but they have a cynical view of themselves and their ability to overcome obstacles and be a good person, blah blah blah. And so one of the best things you can do is just be genuine with these guys, is just show that, you know, you care about their well-being and you want them to become a better person, you know, for no other reason than just because some people are capable of, you know, altruism, right, empathy kind of thing. So here's the park what I was talking about, and there's like boat launches and stuff. Some more ducks. Yeah, there's a certain spot. I see these guys kayak fishing from here. They make YouTube videos. I'm trying to figure out where. There's like broken glass here, so I'm wondering if when people go out fishing, people come over here and they break into their cars. So maybe it wouldn't be that great of an idea to come over here. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think this is where people launch their kayaks, and they go out that way and go fishing. And it's not just as simple as, you know, that, but I mean, a little bit of hope goes a long, long way when it comes to, you know, transforming yourself. I like the other park I was at a lot better, actually. How do I get in this one? I guess I just have to go through that gate. Motorized vehicles off pavement. Okay. So it's cool to have motorized vehicles, but just be off the pavement. No problem. No cast nets allowed. Alright, let's see how much battery I've used. It says 77. So, not bad. That 23%. Yeah, there's all kinds of like in this one. I think the other park I went to the other day, I think it was called Bay Area Park or something like that. That one's a brackish water lake, and this is salt water. So it's got like redfish and speckled trout, sheep's head, that kind of stuff here. You can even, I think there's even sharks here. I like the other park a lot better. And by the way, I know how hard it is to try to show people like that, you know, care and compassion and stuff like that, who's victimized other people, you know, and it's not for everyone. I have that capacity. I think I'll go over the reason why I have that capacity in maybe in some other video in the future, but yeah. So I think this lake or bayou or whatever, it turns into Mud Lake that goes to that park I was at just the other day, if you watch that video. This clear lake leads into I think Galveston Bay, some bay, and then it leads out to the Gulf of Mexico. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to launch my kayak from there or not, because it seems a little shady right there, actually. Also, working with refugees for a long time, I've heard some crazy stories. That'll be another video as well. Let me know if you guys are interested in this kind of content. I mean, it's just, this is the stuff I think about. It's my personality. The YouTube channel is called Jason Few. You know, it's not called Surron. So, but although a lot of the content is going to be about Surron and Surron vlogs and all that. I mean, it's just, I want to talk about shit I'm interested in, things I think about, things I experienced. Get like balls deep into some philosophy because I've been studying that shit for like a long time. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, it's fine too. God, this thing is so friggin' fun. Just riding on the side, well, I'm not even doing anything. It's just fun. It's got that torque, you know. You hit the throttle. You know, feels like you're going fast when you're not. Saturn lane after, like, I think it's Saturn 5 or the Saturn rockets, ships, what have you. Oh, that's where the this is NASA here, the Johnson Space Center, and in that's where they have that rocket. You can go in there and check it out. It's fucking huge, like amazing. If you come here, you should definitely do the tour of their training facility. That's the best part. I like smoking these cars off the line. I mean, they're not racing. If they were, they'd beat me, but still. I think Dylan Thompson has been making videos in Houston. He's at We Code It, getting upgrades and stuff. And they've been meeting up for rides. I don't know how they organize those, or maybe on Facebook or what, but it'd be cool to go join one of their rides. It's like scary part. I rode my motorcycles for like 20 years almost. This kind of stuff's the sketchy stuff. People, for some reason, they don't register. They should not pull out in front of you, and then they pull out in front of you. Can't wait till I get my battery. So this is the 8 kilowatt tune. So I did the battery bypass. It's pretty fun. I'll probably end up doing a 12 kilowatt tune when I get the battery. So this is about a 15-mile round trip, I think. Just about. And I don't even think I'll hit 50%. Yeah, so I think this, with me on it, what am I, like 267 now or something like that? I could probably get a good 30 miles, maybe more, 30, 35 miles maybe out of this 38 amp hour battery, 60 volt 38 amp hour battery, the stock battery that comes in the 2023s. So that's actually pretty solid. I was having some range anxiety before. I actually feel a lot better about it now that I've ventured out a little further. I can even go a lot farther than I did today. When I get the battery though, I want to tune it for torque though, because like, I mean, when I hit about 50, 40, 48 miles an hour or something like that, this thing feels sketch. Like it's just too light to go super fast. You get like a little bit of wobbliness in the front end, a little bit on the front tire. I mean, I don't think you're at risk of like eating shit or anything, but yeah, this thing's just aren't made to go that fast. But if you got all of that torque down low, get like a longer swing arm in the back, so you can put the power down. Oh god, that'd be so freaking fun. It's already so freaking fun, but even more freaking fun. I tried to back it in right there. I couldn't. I need better brake pads, I think. Alright guys, well, if you're still here, thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button, help me out. Give me a like, give me some comments. Check you later. Have a good one.